I'm gonna do a little sunscreen. Do a little sunscreen, but still want it to brown. I love being outside in the summer. You won't be seeing cooking videos inside. I do very, very, very little cooking on the inside unless it is raining. Other than that, I want to be outside on the grill almost every day. That's my life for the summer. That's how I'm living this. So, those of you complaining, go in the air conditioner. I'm good. I burn. Give me the hotter the better. 90 is good for me.
Oof.
Yeah, I like 90s.
Oof.
90. Try not to like drink stuff with sugar during the day, but good old iced tea with some lemon mixed in it. Y'all can have an Honor Palmer. Just give me some iced tea, some lemon squeezed in it, sitting in the back. I got people over there right now doing some work because I love sitting outside. A lot going on today. I'm just going to hit it up right at the top of the hour. A lot of changes at Buffalo City Hall. It's public, so everything I'm sharing is public. The stuff I can't share yet, but it's public. In a couple weeks, we won't have, well, no, I'm not going to say we won't have a deputy mayor, but the deputy mayor of the city of Buffalo, Crystal Rodriguez Dabney, Esquire, is leaving in a couple of weeks to go to Roswell Park Research and Cancer Institute. She's going over there and be the head of diversity. And also, is this one public? The second one?
I don't think I've seen it yet.
Okay.
You want me to make a call?
Yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to steal nobody's fire. I'll check and see if I can say about the second one, but if they haven't or their new employer hasn't, I'm not going to break the news here. That's up to them because that's their life. But let me talk about Crystal leaving and what my real feeling is about her. Now, I want you all to understand something. Deputy mayor is not the mayor in waiting. Basically, her job was chief of staff. So she ran all of the staff of the administration, everybody who basically most people reported who worked for the administration to the deputy mayor. The deputy mayor's position is a hired position by the mayor. It is not an elected position. It is not a position if the mayor is no longer there that the deputy mayor steps in as the mayor. That is not it. So the name, and I've never been a fan of the name deputy mayor, the title, because it confuses people. And they think that this is, the next in line, or this is the person who, if the mayor isn't there or something happens, that the mayor takes over. And that's not it. I really wish it was named for what it is, chief of staff or whatever, and it wouldn't be as confusing. But basically, in the negotiations, like a budget, the mayor will pick who in his cabinet or the mayor himself to negotiate the budget and changes and with the council. So the council, just to be very transparent and a teachable moment, council does not report to the mayor. The mayor is not my boss. The mayor is elected independently. Council members are elected independently, and the same thing as council president. I have no more rank over council members. It's all equal. My job is to run the meetings, is to basically oversee the clerk's office where you get your birth certificates and death certificates, and council staff who works for all of the council members. So that's the staff that works for all of the council members. So the deputy mayor, who I have worked with and whom the mayor has assigned, for instance, in the last couple of budgets, to work directly with the council. I really feel, and this is the truth, I really feel that we are losing someone that was very effective in City Hall. I can't say that about everybody who has been in that position. But I can say this about Crystal Rodriguez Dabney. I feel that she was transparent, more transparent than others, and that she worked well with the council. And I think that Roswell gains a star. At the end of the day, negotiating budgets is not easy. And going back and forth and deciding, we want this and they want this, but we would come to an agreement. It would get tough, but we would come to an agreement. And even, all the way through, she has been very transparent. Even today, calling to say the snow report by the university is ready. Oh. It was being sent to her. She said, as soon as I get it, I'm sending it out. I'm sending it out to all the council members. Because what's the secret? Like, what is the big secret? It's taxpayer dollars. We all are paid by taxpayer dollars. And at the end of the day, it was a pleasure to work with her. I can't talk about the other ones. I can say, when some other folks left, I ain't say nothing.
Sure did.
But with her, I can say that she was a hard worker. And it was, I really, and I could be, I know everybody's gonna have their own opinion, but I felt like she worked hard and that she delivered for the administration, which that's who she's hired by.
Right.
But that she did work closely with the council, and to me, that's important of her leaving. So.
Completely agree.
Yeah, she had been there before. She went to Buff State, and now back. She has 2 law degrees. I think that wherever she lands, she deserves to land. So I have nothing negative to say. That other one is in public. Oh, okay. Is it still happening?
Yes.
Okay.
They just asked that we hold off a week.
Okay, so I won't talk about. I'll just say this: there's another person pending departure from the administration, and I won't. Yeah, I'll say this: that I worked very well with them also. So without going into details, to see these departures is what it is. Now I know the big rumor. Here's the big rumor. Big rumor. Y'all ready for the big rumor? Because you heard the rumor that the mayor is leaving and if the mayor is going to Buff State. Well, right now he ain't going to Buff State because they just appointed an interim. They're about to appoint an interim president of Buff State. It is an African-American woman who has been with Buff State for many years, PhD. She says, though, she does not want the job.
Wow.
She says she does not want the job. So it is not like she's a candidate, which means that the field will be open sooner or later for Buff State to pick a president. I have only, hear me, only heard rumors. I have no fact. I don't have any inside information.
Nope.
See, I like to tell it, everybody, because then you hear it here and you're like, well, Pridgeon said, I have heard the same rumors you have. Oh, no. It was published in the Buffalo News that there were some who were interested in the mayor, some attached to Buff State, who were interested in the mayor applying for a job as president of Buff State. Now that's real. That's real. And if in that case, let's say just so you understand where this rumor is about me being mayor, and that's a rumor. It's made up. But here's the deal. I'm on the council until January. If the mayor left or left before January, the council president takes over the duties of the mayor. That's how the charter reads. So that's where all of this hoopla about, that's why he's stepping down. No, it ain't got nothing to do with that. Because if I step down and it happens next year, I wouldn't. I'm Darius watching on the radio. That's all. That's Darius watching on the radio, Pastor True Bethel. But that's the big rumor is that. I mean, and it's been others, but that was the biggest one that's circulated in the Buffalo News that is out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is out there right now. Now, I don't know if I ran for another term, not me, I mean, as the mayor, and won probably the hardest election that he's ever ran, would I leave early? Would I leave early? Because now all those people who is out there in the streets for you and write down Byron Brown, they could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would depend on the opportunity, right? Like are you letting people down if you step to depending on what that opportunity is that you step to, is that really letting somebody down if it's another opportunity for you to provide for the people that put you back in office?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it would be a difficult decision. I was on the school board. I stepped down early. I didn't feel like the world was going to crash in. Nobody was paying attention to the school board. I couldn't get parents to pay attention to the school board. And so at the end of the day, when I found out wasn't nobody paying attention and I shouldn't say nobody because that's a big word. I felt many more people need to be involved in education. Right. And so when I stepped down, it did not shake the world. Trust me, it did not. It did. I remember it all too well. They went and found another person to replace me. But as the basically CEO of the city, that's a whole different ball game.
Absolutely.
Whole different ball game. Let me get my glasses on. Greg Bryce on Facebook says, I had the pleasure of working with her when she was the diversity officer when I did prisoner reentry, and she was always a pleasure. Yeah, wow, that's interesting. Very interesting. Corrine says, before you leave office, can you do something about the city-owned lot at High and Peach? It's an eyesore. I'll take a look at it for you. Shoot, the rumors. Why? So that's that on that front. Let me see what my second thing is. Second thing is good news, and not that the other announcement wasn't. But like I said, she's going to be missed in City Hall, and I hope whoever the mayor hires as deputy mayor, I just hope they don't be so political that they lose sight.
Absolutely.
That we work better together. That it's better to work together for the people rather than to fight for the attention.
Absolutely.
Let me just say it like that. Don't fight for the attention. Just work for the people and work together. You people in this city, let me tell you this, especially when you got all Democrats. Mm-hmm. It's not like we have a council and a administration and a controller where one is Democrat, one is Republican, one is conservative. We're all Democrats.
Yep.
I get in a room, I always say this, and figure it out.
Yeah.
But sometimes in other people that's been in that office, it has not been a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, because I think, like you said, what ends up getting lost in the sauce is not the people, but who gets the credit. Or who's the one out front, instead of being like, no, we all are trying to represent this 250,000 constituent city.
Yes.
Let's just do what's best for them, instead of, oh, no, it's my name on the top of the press release. It's my name in the front of the Buffalo News.
Or is my name not in it at all?
Right.
It's like, I will say this about the way that the deputy mayor worked, is often she would say, can we do this together? And I don't think, except maybe on one occasion, that I ever said, no, you want to work together, let's do whatever we got to do and do it together and get it done. Absolutely. Period. People do not care who gets the credit for what and doesn't get credit. They work together and get it done. And that's why, all of the talk about, if you watch the council meeting recently, to talk about, where council members' names could go. And I do agree with the controller in saying that, we shouldn't use tax dollars to advance ourselves. I think it got to be plain that you can put your name on something that you sponsor, and I think that that's fair. And I said it in the meeting. I'll say it here today. It's not. You can't say to one branch of government you can't put your name on anything, and then not say it to the other branch of government or all branches of government.
Absolutely.
So I think hopefully we're working through that piece. But Marnetta Malcolm, longtime community leader, everybody in the city who's listening to me, I know you know Marnetta. She just refuses to stop working, and that's good. Even after a big health scare, after she started healing, she wasn't healed all the way yet. She was back out there, back on Jefferson, back concerned about her people, and she organizes every year the Funk Fest. But this year she's doing something a little different, or adding on to do something a little different, and that's Friday Night Live every Friday night through August on Jefferson Avenue. And there's going to be vendors, food trucks, food out there, dancing, and it is just, according to her, basically a way. TOPS has been our focus and and it should be, and it still is, but to bring some joy back in the area. And I'm going to read a quote. I want it to be about hope, rebuilding, and love. It's about family gathering, getting information, learning more about the resources, and engaging with those who are offering them and with each other. Malcolm said, I think we need to start as a community, as a neighborhood in Buffalo. We have to get back to collective thinking. Friday Night Live is scheduled to take place from 5:30 to 9 p.m. every Friday. The event is free, but vendors and food trucks will be selling goods. So you can contact her. This first Friday night coming up is being sponsored by one of our past guests last week, Mark Talley of Agents for Advocacy, whose mother, Geraldine, was among the 10 lives lost on 5/14. It will be dedicated to her memory. Talley's mother's birthday would have been June 3rd. Other sponsors include John Elmore, Buffalo Community Fridge, Oshai. She got a list. This station, WUFO, and Power 96.5. So there's a list of sponsors. You can still sponsor, helping with this. And so I bring this up, first of all, because I think it is tremendous. I think it's good. Here is where I want to be very plain. I hope some folk don't scrub it up, if you know what I mean.
Talk about it.
She's trying to do something positive, same thing like Juneteenth. And there's almost always somebody who scrubs it up. And I'm going to be talking about, in a few minutes, about violence and the psychology about violence and aggression. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in Downtown Library. I was leaving work the other day. Now, listen, I used to go to the library as a kid. Go to the library, you read your book, you meet your girlfriend there, you do, all that.
Yep.
I saw Tim Newkirk on the stairs. I was driving past. They had emptied out the library again. I'd say it no less than 100 and something students, because they're school-age people. And the words that I was hearing, the actions I was seeing were concerning. Now, it ain't nothing you could tell me. I don't care what you want to email me, text. There are certain things that's just right and certain things wrong, and we have to address them to do better.
Yep.
So now the library, because the library a few weeks ago decided they couldn't handle it. They can't listen. People come to work to do a job. They don't come to work to babysit
break up
people's children and break up fights. And we need to deal with this with our children individually, and any child that you have an influence over. and is involved in some type of drama or of how to deal with conflict. Because if we don't deal with it, folks, now, like I said, y'all get mad at me. Oh, he's saying it. Do it. Go ahead. But when you got to go to family court or you got to pay a lawyer, and it can happen to any of us.
Absolutely.
It can happen to any of us. I am not throwing stones and running. But I can tell you this, if it happens in my house, it won't be for lack of trying to educate my children. My kids have been in fights, a fight, but it wasn't accepted in my household. It wasn't, oh, that's all right, and you better go out, and you better do this, and you better do that. It wasn't egged on. We dealt with it like an adult. Hey, this ain't cute. This ain't good. It could stop your future. One wrong hit, one wrong punch, somebody falls, cracks their head, dies. Your whole future has changed.
Yes, it has.
And even if you don't kill somebody, being kicked out of school affects your future. We have to teach young people about choices that affect their future. You got the downtown library closing early, which means some student who's really using it, because I know we think everything is online. Everything is not online, and everything is not available online. And every child does not have a computer and printer. So the library becomes a place for some students that is necessary. So we can't have kids down there scrubbing it up because that's the place where they're going to meet up to have their fight. Or they're just in a place and they see somebody who they got a problem with. And if we don't teach these skills, because we've been talking about mental health, this is a part of mental health, this violence, this anger, this aggression. Corrine says on Facebook, just me, I would smack my kid if he even thought of disrupting stuff. I think children need a barrier. But the problem is, one of the problems, if they're watching adults who have no barrier, okay, let's talk about it. I ain't gonna read no names because you're innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not gonna read names, but somebody did send me video of the Tim Hortons situation in Niagara Falls. I could not watch the whole thing. I was so disappointed. First of all, I didn't even know it was Western New York. I just thought it was a video, right? Mm-hmm. And I started watching. I'm like, I can't watch grown people doing this. I can't. It's so hard to see it. So let me read it. It's public. It's in the Buffalo News. A manager of a Niagara Falls Tim Horton on Sunday night asked some teenage girls to leave the business because already rumors. Because when it was sent out, it was like, oh, this is somebody's niece. No, here's what it was. Asked some teenage girls to leave the business. The juveniles left the coffee shop, but not before one of the teens said they were going to go get their mother. According to police, within 10 minutes, a mother of one of the girls showed up, took the matter into her own hands. Quote, arguments get heated. You get into an argument. Not that I condone it, but things like that happen in the heat of the moment in an argument. Niagara Falls Police Superintendent John Faso said this wasn't anything like that, he says. According to the Buffalo News, 2 women and a 13-year-old. This is the only reason I'm bringing it up. Because now you got a child who, depending on how this case goes, could possibly have a mark on a record for somebody being asked to leave the store, whether it's right or wrong. Being charged with second-degree gang assault for an, quote, unprovoked and vicious, unquote, attack that put Tim Horton's manager in the hospital with bleeding on the brain.
Jeez.
Police and prosecutors said the victim, a 42-year-old Buffalo woman, was released from the hospital on Wednesday. Video that circulated on social media earlier this week propelled the case into the public eye. In addition to the video, recorded by an onlooker, who, based on comments heard in the video, seemed to know something was about to occur. You videoed it. But hey, you act out in public. Hey.
Yeah.
Police also have surveillance footage from inside the business. 2 Niagara Falls women were arraigned Thursday in Niagara Falls City Court on gang assault charges. Authorities also plan to issue one of the women's daughters an appearance ticket to report to Niagara County Probation with her felony charge to be heard in Niagara Family Court. I'm not going to read the name. A female, 37 years old, another female, 30, turned themselves in to Falls Police Thursday morning. They each pleaded not guilty to second-degree gang assault. The gang assault does not, or the assault charge, the gang assault charge does not mean the defendants are members of a gang. A gang assault is legally defined as an assault by more than 2 people. Police are not looking for any other suspects. Faso said he doesn't believe the victim said or did anything, let alone said anything inflammatory enough to possibly provoke such a violent response. That's his opinion. I have no idea. Quote, if you have a problem with how your juvenile daughter was treated and you think something needs to be done, that's what we're here for, Faso said. She took this into her own hands, Faso said. City Court Judge Danielle Restaino set bail at $20,000 cash, $40,000 bond, or $200,000 partially secured bond. Listen, so now, if it, allegedly, somebody's asked to leave the store, somebody else starts recording a planned attack.
Yeah.
Folks, like my heart, first of all, my heart goes out to the manager. Let me say this. And you might not agree, but my heart goes out to the thought process and people's thought process that think that this is okay. And this is not that argument that I heard when the looting was happening. Oh, this is corporate America. They got insurance. This is a person.
Right.
And even that thought to me is not legit. But I am really believing that this is beyond, because people say, well, you know, black people. Nope, it happens. I mean, we have white people doing bombings. You got Russians blowing up Ukraine.
Yep.
You got violence all over the land. We have violence all over the land. And I think that's one reason Tina Turner moved to Switzerland.
Yep.
She just said, I'm out of this. I'm out. I'm going to a country where they mind their business, where they don't want to fight nobody, where they're not fighting with each other. Let me sit in Switzerland. I am so afraid if we don't, because black people are always going to be judged differently.
Absolutely.
You can't tell me there ain't no fights nowhere else, but we are doing a lot of recording.
Yeah.
We talk about snitch. We doing all the snitching and narking and everything else with the phone. But if you're going to go out there, first of all, even if it wasn't the person recording, there are cameras in every Tim Horton.
Sure is.
You were going to get, you got to think. I was reading about some tools before I came on the air about how to deal with your anger. And one of them is to just stop and calm down first.
Yes.
Just stop. One time I was going to call somebody, I was angry, and I remember Monique said, why don't you do this? Why don't you wait until the morning? And if you still feel that way, then go ahead with the call. By the morning time came, I was just like, that's not important to me. It's not. Sometime, and this is just you gotta just wait.
Yeah.
And breathe and calm down. And it talked about exercising. When you're angry, before you lose it, go take a walk.
Yeah.
Ride your bike. If it's snowing outside, run around in the snow. Throw some snowballs at the house, something. But then it talks about talking, like not arguing, not hollering, talking. And if you can't talk to the person, you got to talk to somebody. Sometimes your best friend is your best counselor.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I am afraid if we don't get a hold of this, because even today, not just the Tim Horton, Today's Buffalo News. 15-year-old faces murder charge in 2022 South Buffalo shooting. This person was 14. This child was 14 when it happened. Allegedly. I don't have no name here, and I wouldn't read it anyway. A 15-year-old was charged with second-degree murder and criminal possession of a weapon in the fatal shooting of Morrell Buster Jr., who was found dead in the middle of Spalding Street nearly a year ago. The suspect was 14 at the time, allegedly. Suspect was arraigned Thursday. Police were alerted to the shooting, blah, blah, blah. 3 days after the shooting, a march was held on Spalding Street near Buster's sister's house, led by Pastor Tim Newkirk, who said that Buster was ambushed by a perpetrator who jumped out of a vehicle and fired several shots. Now we got a 15-year-old. Now, folks, we gotta get a hold of anger. And I always say this, we blame parents. It's easy to blame parents, but I know some parents out there who are doing a heck of a job, and children still can get into situations. But we have to then help guide them through how to deal with their anger. But if we can't deal with our anger, we are our children's first teacher in almost all occasions, unless you are, even if you're away from your child longs, most children, to be like you.
Yeah.
So if they're in a household where violence is the norm, or not even in a household, surrounded by people, that's what they're picking up. If they're surrounded by people who don't forgive, if they're surrounded by people who are determined to get even, and determined to get even physically and even verbally, what are they gonna do?
Well, and I'm going to probably hit another angle, because hearing this story, it sounds more like a gang initiation or a gang target. And
what do you mean, the 14-year-old?
Yeah, the one in South Buffalo. And I think the terrible thing is, you either have gang leaders that are normally adults sometimes, and now you're sending 14, 15, 16-year-olds on an initiation, and you have them doing adult criminal acts. So sometimes it's not even anger, it's just trying to fit in. So you're like, well, I'm not getting this at home, or I feel like I'm not getting it at home, or not getting it at school. The streets accept me, so they're telling me, because some of these 14 and 15-year-olds, they don't own a gun. Mm-hmm. So somebody's providing them the gun to go do these acts. So it's a shame that even drug dealing, like it's a shame that you put vulnerable teenagers, male and female, on the street to do the work that you either did when you were younger and now you're just perpetuating it down, or that you're not man or woman enough to go do yourself. And that's also criminal to me too.
Yeah, I think that, when the streets recruit these young people always want to be in adult situations. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, that's why I said, it's easy to say parents, but as a kid, I wanted to be adult. The difference was I did it. I did. I left home by the time I was 16 years old. The difference was I went to college.
Right.
But it's still the fact that I wanted to be out of the house. I wanted to be on my own. I wanted, and in some ways probably wasn't as ready as I needed to be at 16 and at college and away from Buffalo. But I take that same scenario, and if college isn't an option for me, and the streets are, and I'm surrounded by that, and I have this opportunity to be more independent, to get money, to, buy my own stuff that I can't get. This cycle of poverty, this cycle of hopelessness.
Yep.
And then right now we're in a time when if you address it, it's like, oh, you bougie, oh, you. No, we got to be real about it, because these are our children. And I've said this over and over and over. There is a portion of our population, and it was proven with the top situation. There is a portion of our population that want us to fight and to kill. that want our children to, long as y'all stay in the downtown library, go for it.
Yep.
Don't come over here to North Buffalo. Don't come over here to Amherst. Don't come over here to Williamsville. Y'all stay right there. And I'm going right now, there's been a police officer at the Cheektowaga Buffalo border since it got nice out. Just sitting there in the parking lot, kind of like a warning sign. Then I heard this week, and somebody said it's an illegal traffic stops. They're not illegal, folks. We don't do them in Buffalo anymore. But I promise you, y'all ain't going out to Cheektowaga Town Hall and raise no cane about them doing traffic stops.
No, they're not.
They're doing traffic stops. They're within their rights, because I saw somebody say they doing illegal traffic. It's not illegal for police. The state police does it, especially around holidays, and for them, they claim it's a safety issue. Keep drunk drivers off the road. I think Cheektowaga is a little different issue.
Yeah, well, but there's a few other places in the first ring. But
at the end of the day, I do appreciate their chief of police, and I do believe he's sincere. And every time I've called him for any incident, he's looked into it, and at times, not fired, but suspended police right away. So I'm not going to blast that. But at the end of the day, they trying to, what you going to do? What you going to do? Make sure your inspection is up. Mine, yeah, because when I read it, I realized my inspection. I had to get my inspection yesterday, because I go out to the Galleria. I don't feel like being, them towing my car away.
On the front of the hood.
Oh, that'd be so embarrassing. I'm standing out there with my phone in my briefcase while my car get towed away for inspection. So there's this article, what is the psychology behind violence and aggression? A new VCU lab aims to find out. The social, we missed the sponsor. Sorry. I'll get off 5 minutes early so you don't have to wait around there. I apologize. I'll just do a read. Hobson's, the Doctor of Dry Cleaning, 874 East Delavan and Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. 3 locations to serve you: 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, 1275 Sycamore. In your hour of need, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. And thank you to Hobson's, the Doctor of Dry Cleaning. The Social Psychology and Neuroscience Lab at the College of Humanities and Sciences studying psychopaths, revenge, domestic violence, and whether violence can be treated like an addiction. Oof. Now, this is such an important study, I think, because I don't believe the mass majority of people are, but I do believe that there are some people who are addicted to violence. It may be a small portion, but that addiction to violence, and I'll just read a little bit of this article. For his entire life, David Chester, PhD, has been driven by a single question: why do people seek to harm others? He says, quote, as a kid, I'd see these news articles in local TV news showing murders and assaults and things like that, said Chester, an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology. It always perplexed me because we'd done such a good job of moving forward as a species and building this great society, but we still kept one part of our prehistoric past. We kept this tendency to be violent and aggressive, he says. He is launching, I'm skipping through, a series of studies this fall that aim, and let me see the date of this so that when I say this fall, you might be able to, this article was from 2017. So I'm going to look and see if I can find what his research found. Further understand violent behavior, exploring the role of the brain and human psychology behind topics such as revenge, domestic abuse, psychopaths, and more. The goal of our lab is to reduce violence in the real world. That's our mission statement. That's what we're here to do. By laying bare the psychological and neurological processes behind aggression, we can gain some serious traction in how to go about doing that. And here's the question. Can violence, he asked, be an addiction? Chester's research in collaboration with other research, has focused on whether violence might actually be addictive. And if that's true, could an addiction to aggression be treatable? Similarly to how alcoholism or opiate dependence is treated. Conventionally, violence is understood to be often driven by negative emotions such as anger or fear. For example, a person might be aggressive because they were enraged at another person, or they were afraid the other person might hurt them. And in this final part I read, our lab has really shown that that's true. Negative emotions are there, but positive emotions actually also play a pretty big role in aggressive behavior. So aggression can feel good. And that pleasure and the associated is what we call hedonic reward. And it's a really potent motivating force.
Wow.
Their research is showing that there are some people who are aggressive and they like being aggressive.
So they get the same, so they would, in essence, get the same reward out of whether they were eating something sweet or getting into a fight.
And that's the people I think that they're trying to study, those who, because I meet people all the time who, it's no conversation. It's just like, because I'm going to do such and I'm going to do, and sometimes that's what they do.
Yeah.
And it's that, it does bring, if you look at the some of the tapes that are out there, some of the fights that are recorded, it's like not only are the people who in them sometimes like really excited to be in these fights, but the people around
spectators.
them. And the encouragement of that, the encouragement of you better get her, and then hearing grown people say, no, there's a one-on-one, all that kind of stuff that you go like, this is behavior that happens, I think, at times when people don't have any hope of future.
Yeah.
Because when you have a hope of future, you gather yourself, because like I think about how many times I could have messed up my future and how many times I did mess up my future, or portions, right? But at the end of the day, I knew if you get into this, you going to jail.
Yeah. I would say, I think though, on the spectator side, remember that's an ancient thing. So like
absolutely,
the affluent paid to go see somebody destroyed by lions in Rome, or go to see gladiators fight. So,
absolutely.
So we've been paying for this before any of us have been around, and it's so. So it's sometimes not about hopelessness.
We pay for it.
It's just paying for that violence.
We pay for it in the winter.
Yeah.
It's called NFL.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We pay for it in the summer. It's called boxing.
Yeah.
We pay for it. It's called wrestling.
Yeah. No, you're right. We still paying for it. Yeah.
But the difference is these are quote unquote sports.
Yeah.
Right? People sign up for them.
Yeah.
The difference between being attacked because of words, and egging that attack on.
Yeah.
Because when the gladiators and all that was considered okay too.
Yep.
Until somebody said, wait a minute. Football in the beginning didn't have all the protections.
Sure did.
And it was considered okay when people got brain damage
killed
on the field. And it's not acceptable anymore. So when Hamlin went down, the game stopped.
Yep.
So there are levels of aggression that were acceptable at one point of history.
Yep.
And are we going to now accept the levels of aggression that we have now, especially with our young people, without there being any change? See, I'm not one for just wanting to throw people in jail, because that ain't doing no good.
No.
It's doing no good. But I am so glad for some of the programs, for instance, in city court and in family court, which tries to grab that person, whether it's adult or a child, who there is still some hope of letting them see a different view.
Yeah, and I would say even with the programs, I think in our culture, I think one of the other major things that's missing is that a semblance of spirituality. Because I know for me personally, I was a hothead as a kid. Like I was that kid, like I wouldn't even say a word. You were just going to get hit. Like, and because I wasn't worried about that. Who hit me? Who swung first? If I had a problem, I was swinging first. But I now say Jesus saved a lot of people's lives because if he didn't get me early, then I would have been continually down that path. So I think.
But did you just walk into a church, or did somebody take you?
Well, yeah, somebody had to take me, and that's what I said. It's that lack of spirituality in our families, in our community, because whether it's, like you said, whether it's Christian, Muslims, like most religions agree with one thing, peace. And so whatever you believe in, most of them always believe in peace. So the farther we get away from that, I think is where we're losing some of those battles that now the courts and the judicial system have to pick up and create, or even some of our community organizations.
You know, that's interesting because we're in a time where it's not easy to stand up for the church.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you look back in the Bible days, they're being persecuted and killed.
Yep.
And we're somewhat back there now, because now if you talk about the church that I ain't giving my money to church, I ain't going to the church, until there's a death, until there's a need, until there's a tragedy, and so
or want to get married,
or baptized, or dedicate a baby so they can wear the white and all that stuff, right? But so it's not, it's almost damning to stand up for the church.
Yeah,
and I totally agree with you. I think that had my mother, and that's why we're working so hard to resurrect and bring, you know, we said that when we come back in September, because we go on recess in August, and then we don't have Bible study. Next week is our last Bible study for the summer. When we come back in 2022, all year we've been talking about waking up the sleeping giant since COVID, talking about our church. And now when we come back in September, there's no more waking up. We will be fully awake. All of our youth programs going again, all of our youth trips, all of everything. And the reason is because I do believe that the church had the greatest influence of any other organized function in our community.
Absolutely.
We lived on Winslow first. We went to St. Luke. I could walk around the corner to the church. But I also had parents that were grounded.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom would come to church. My dad would come to church sometime. Now my dad, you know, things are different. He's church all the time. At the end of the day, though, it was important in our house.
Yeah.
And we were at a place where raising youth was important.
Absolutely.
But I was surrounded by teachers, Mildred Stallings, Alfred Jared, all these people who influenced us to go to school.
Yep.
You didn't say, you know, we got together on Friday. That's when our youth group met. It wasn't like, did you go to school?
It was like what you did at school.
Right. When are you going on your school trip?
Yep.
So that whole culture and that whole village is important. So I say to people out there, if you got nieces, you got nephews, and the parents don't involve them, and you're concerned about them, sometimes you gotta step in there.
Yeah.
You have to step in there. My son, the oldest, who I adopted, is because his mom asked me to before she died, and I think that she knew if he goes back into the neighborhood where he came up, that he may have some troubles.
Right.
So her dying wish, I'll never forget standing in the hospital room and asking her, "What can I do for you?" And he was standing on the wall, leaning on the wall, and she pointed at him and she said, "Take care of him." And when she did that, I didn't expect to adopt him. I expect just watch him. He went, you know, I'm just going to watch him. I'm going to make sure you're all right. But to me, every parent's desire for their children should be that they be successful.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely.
let me do the best I can. Even if I'm living in the hood, how can my children
Absolutely
be successful and not be in this like cycle of violence? So I think there's some people out there who are watching, some people out there who are listening, who you may be done with your children. Your children may be grown, but you're aware of somebody who you have influence over that's young. And sometimes it's just about picking them up every couple of weeks, showing them something different.
That's it.
Like, I don't think he would mind me sharing because he said this in the past. Councilmember Wyatt, when we met, we were teenagers. I was directing the choir. His girlfriend was in the choir. He thought his girlfriend, he came to, I tell this story all the time, came to Screwface me, and I ended up telling him to come on up, let's pray when we got ready to end choir rehearsal. And then invited him to go to Syracuse. And it was one of his first trips outside of Buffalo.
Wow.
And his life, and that ain't nobody young, that was my counterpart.
Right.
That was, we young, we teenagers. Mm-hmm. But both of our lives, and then he became involved in church because Carla's grandfather was big in the church. Her grandmother and all of their family went to church. All of them went to St. Louis. It was a tribe.
Whatever it takes to get you into the church.
Yeah, it was a tribe. Yeah. So at the end of the day, he went with Carla. Carla went to church. He went to church. We all made it out. We all made it out all right. And so I appreciate you bringing up the church, because a lot of times we walk away from that topic like it's a bad thing because people have made the church so bad. But then when they're in need, the church is the first one blamed that they can't do everything. And all I'll say is this: the church God doesn't just send us money from heaven. No, manna days are over. Ain't no manna
longer.
And I'm getting ready to turn it back over to the station so you can play the commercials. But there's no manna of money that's falling. So when people then don't participate and then go, well, why the church can't? I remember after the storm, why y'all don't have generators? Why you not donating? Now, I did have a person say they would donate. Ain't heard from them again.
Because we don't need a little small backyard one.
Oh, no. We need a building generator. And then need some help that you would be able to staff the place.
Yes.
So church is still number one. Let me get one last comment off Facebook. Stallings was my principal from Greg. We had to go to church. My dad was a deacon. Marie, waking up the sleeping giant. Yeah, come September. Thanks for yesterday. Come on. It was. I saw you in the back. Saw you in the back. We buried Lily. Is it Lily Mae?
Lily Pearl.
Lily Pearl. How did I say Lily Mae after them pearls was on that casket? Lily Pearl is gone. Fantastic woman. Matter of fact, I didn't acknowledge this yesterday. I have some robes in there made by Lily Pearl.
Do you really?
Rhonda used to get robes made by Lily Pearl.
Oh, wow.
And Rhonda had some robes made for me.
Wow.
But I should have wore one of them by Lily Pearl. I'm sending it back over to the station. Until next week, power to the people.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo. 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll-free 877-885-7734. Or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.